This is Quantitative Techniques in Management, MAN-811, Module 1, Study Session 1. Brief History of Quantitative Techniques. The expected duration of this study session is 1 week. Introduction. It is usually good to have knowledge of the origin and development of a discipline for one to truly appreciate the discipline, and such knowledge make it easier for you to understand the discipline and also to put its different aspects in the right perspective. We are therefore starting this module by reviewing the history of quantitative techniques as a field of study. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this unit, you should be able to define quantitative techniques in management of business, ascertain the circumstances that triggered the emergence of the use of quantitative techniques in decision making, and identify the key factors and personalities that contributed significantly to the growth of quantitative techniques. Definition of quantitative techniques. Before examining the key words of this definition, it is pertinent to point out that quantitative techniques (QT) is not peculiar to management or business alone. It is equally a versatile decision-making tool for those in medicine, engineering, politics, and so on. The definition of QT above tells us that it is first of all a collection of mathematics-based technique, and as we proceed, you will learn that another definition for quantitative techniques in business is business mathematics. QT entails the application of existing mathematical models to business-related problems. Quantitative techniques in management as a course can be defined as the study of a collection of mathematics-based techniques that enable managers or decision-makers generally to make optimal resource allocation decisions. Secondly, it talks about optimal resource allocation decisions. Business organizations strive to use the limited resources available to them to achieve their predetermined objectives, which often reflect profit maximization. The only way this can be achieved is for managers to ensure that available resources are channeled to business opportunities with the highest possible returns potential, that is, optimal resource allocation. Let us take a question. What are the circumstances that triggered the emergence of the use of quantitative techniques in decision making? The answer is the major circumstance that triggered the emergence of the use of quantitative techniques in decision making is the Second World War. Brief history of quantitative techniques. The origin of quantitative techniques, also called operations research, management science, business mathematics, or decision analysis, and so on, can be traced back to Frederick Winslow Taylor, who in the early 90s initiated the scientific management revolution. Taylor, in his book titled Scientific Management, argued, among other things, that managers should strive to do things in the best possible way that it could be done, and also to make decisions scientifically and objectively instead of subjectively. But modern operations research or quantitative techniques is generally considered to have originated during the World War II, when operations research teams were formed to deal with strategic and tactical problems faced by the military. These teams, which often consisted of people with diverse specialties, e.g. mathematics, engineering, and behavioral scientists, were joined together to solve a common problem through the utilization of the scientific method. The techniques which these teams adopted in solving their problems proved so successful that after the war, most firms experimented with it and successfully applied those techniques to business problems. It is a collection of these techniques that has metamorphosed to a new field of study called quantitative techniques. You remember the saying that necessity is the mother of invention, right? You remember this saying that necessity is the mother of invention. You can agree with these in the light of the circumstances that led to the emergence of quantitative techniques as a field of study. Two developments that occurred during the post-World War II period led to the growth and use of quantitative techniques in non-military applications. First is the continued research on quantitative approaches to decision-making, which resulted in numerous methodological developments. Notable among these is the discovery of George Dantzig in 1947 of the simplex method, simplex S-I-M-P-L-E-X method, for solving linear programming problems. Coupled with this was the explosion in computing made available through digital computers. These computers enabled practitioners to use the methodological advances to successfully solve a large variety of industrial problems. We can see more on quantitative techniques from this link www.universityofcalicut.info/SDE/quantitative technique business on 25 FEB 2016. Again, www.universityofcalicut.info/SDE/quantitative technique business on 25 FEB 2016. Let us summarize this session. In this session, you have learned that 1. Quantitative techniques in management as a course can be defined as the study of a collection of mathematics-based techniques that enable managers or decision makers generally to make optimal resource allocation decisions. 2. The major circumstance that triggered the emergence of the use of quantitative techniques in decision making is the Second World War. And 3. The key factors and personalities that contributed significantly to the growth of quantitative techniques are Frederick Winslow Taylor, Second World War, continued research after the Second World War, and digital computer revolution. Finally, you have learned that other names by which quantitative techniques is known are operations research, management science, business mathematics, and decision analysis. Self-assessment questions. Now that you have completed this study session, you can assess how well you've achieved its learning outcomes by answering these questions. Check your answers with the notes on the self-assessment question at the end of this module. SAQ 1. What is quantitative techniques in management? SAQ 2. What are the key factors and personalities that contributed significantly to the growth of quantitative techniques? SAQ 3. What are the other names by which quantitative techniques is known? You have come to the end of study session 1.